What's up, YouTube? DJ Kryptonite here with some breaking news on this Deontay Wilder thing. Um, it looks as though, shout out to 78 Sports, new media. He broke this because he had an interview with Deontay not too long ago, a few hours back. And he interviewed him about the glove controversy. And it looks like Wilder is switching his gloves for this particular fight because the last fight he had, he used some gloves that weren't puncher's gloves. So, I guess just to give a quick synopsis of that is puncher's gloves typically are gloves that actually benefit the puncher, the one with the power that can throw punches, land heavy shots, that sort of thing. But Deontay was not wearing puncher's gloves. MXs are known to be puncher's gloves. And in the case of Deontay Wilder, he chose not to and chose to wear some more padded gloves in the last fight. Now, I'm not making this as an excuse for Deontay Wilder because essentially, I don't know if the gloves would have made any difference for him, that the gloves he was wearing. I don't think it would have made any difference to him because he looked as though he was out of sorts, out of whack, that sort of thing. I don't quite understand why he was a little disoriented. I don't have any kind of rationale or reasoning why he looked out of sorts. After he got hit with a couple shots, his right hand, he never let it go. And at that point, the fight went downhill for him. So I don't know if the glove issue made a big difference for him. At least his gloves didn't make a difference. However, in that fight, in that interview with 78 Sports, it was revealed, again, shout out to 78 Sports for having that interview with Deontay. It was revealed that Deontay had, they discussed the gloves, in negotiations during the promotion to determine who's wearing what and that sort of thing. And in doing so, Deontay contested that Tyson Fury was wearing gloves that had horsehair, predominantly horsehair, and not padding. And again, horsehair moves around in the gloves. It's not very stable. So essentially throughout the fight, the hair can actually shift in the glove, and then it kind of reduces the amount of padding around the knuckles. So that could kind of play a part in Fury's change in power, because he did seem to be a bit stronger, a bit more powerful in the fight. So in the second fight, so it did look as though he had more power, or he could have had gloves, not loaded gloves, but gloves that were actually puncher's gloves, so to speak, with more horsehair and less padding. And I don't know if that's a legal thing, if they're negotiating these gloves. If they're negotiating the gloves, it's all fair play. It was up to Deontay's camp to decide if that was a legal tactic, or they were willing to agree to that, him wearing gloves that had a lot of horsehair and very little padding. If that's the case, that was kind of Deontay's call on that, and he accepted it and moved on. But in this case, it looks like he's a bit more diligent. He was discussing the glove discussion and negotiation, and it looks as though Deontay is going back to the MX gloves, I believe, and they're puncher's gloves. So you got to expect a lot of fireworks in this fight, because if Fury's wearing his gloves that he wore in the second fight, and now Deontay has switched over to MX, which are puncher's gloves, this should be a very, very dynamite type of fight. So ultimately, it's going to be the first person who gets off. So I'm putting my money on whoever gets off first, because whoever lands the biggest shot first is probably going to be victorious in this fight, because they're wearing puncher's gloves. These are two big men. Deontay's coming in at his heaviest weight. Fury is coming in at 277 or so. He's almost 300 pounds, and Deontay's about 240. I think he weighed in at 237 or something like that. But they're both heavy guys. They're both big guys. So my thinking is the guy who lands the biggest punches early will win this fight. Again, this is breaking news. So, if you're following this fight, it should be fireworks. So get your popcorn, because this probably won't last very long. So again, shout out to 78 Sports. My man did a great interview with Deontay. So I'm eager. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. Tune into that fight tomorrow night. Man, get your popcorn ready. DJ Kryptonite out. Deuces.